Hey, what's up? Lightboltjoe here. Today we are going to discuss the show. Did this premiere on Disney XD? I believe it was a Disney XD show or a Disney Channel show. I don't remember where it premiered. Star Wars Resistance. So this came out 2018. It's only 2 seasons. It ended 2020. This takes place in between episode 7, The Force Awakens, episode 8, The Last Jedi, and episode 9, Rise of Skywalker. Now, those three I'm not a fan of. Some people are, most of us aren't. It felt super rushed. It just felt like Disney got their hands on Lucasfilm. They had to push out some Star Wars films to make their investors happy. Like, I get it. It's a business. It has to make money. And it made money. And it sold a crap ton of toys. But, like, I don't know. Like, the way the way they pushed Finn to the side, I'm still bitter about it. I thought some parts of the story were great, others were just useless, but I don't know, mixed feelings. I realized I've never talked about episode 7, The Force Awakens, and episode 8, The Last Jedi. We've talked about Rise of Skywalker. We did a review of that, but that was it on that front. So, how does Star Wars Resistance fit into the Star Wars canon, right? So we have, this is the third major TV show. We have, cartoon-wise, we had Clone Wars, we had Rebels, incredible, my favorite out of the three, for various reasons. Ezra Bridger is my favorite character in the Star Wars universe, and then Resistance. So Dave Filoni, who did Clone Wars and Rebels respectively, also did Mandalorian with Jon Favreau, a live-action continuation on certain characters and plot points from Clone Wars and Rebels, which is pretty dope. But Resistance is a Dave Filoni created project. He was a producer on it, but he didn't like do a lot of the writing, do a lot of the directing. He just like kind of like gave some ideas here and there to keep the story going, to fit it into the 3 episodes, episode 7 through episode 9. So you have Captain Phasma in this, you have Poe Dameron in this, which is pretty cool. You have BB-8 in this a lot, and then you have Kylo Ren in the last like couple episodes, which is pretty neat seeing them because you've seen them on the screen. So now it's neat seeing them on your TV screen or your computer or your phone, wherever you're watching it. So the main character of this series is called Kazuto Xiono, Kaz for short. Kaz is a snarky kind of know-it-all, but like not at the same time. He's semi-confident, but like worries a lot, which is very interesting. But he just wants to be a resistance spy. You know, Poe Dameron kind of got him into being into the resistance. Kaz is the son of the senator, and he's the greatest pilot in the galaxy, flying ships, of course, racing ships for that matter. And so Kaz is now a resistance spy, and he's now on board the Colossus, which is the station platform thing on this planet. What's the planet called? Something with a C. The Colossus is on the something. Whatever. The First Order wants to take control of this platform for a refueling purpose, because it's like a great point for galactic refueling purposes for their fleet. Makes sense. Okay. So the First Order is trying to intimidate Captain Doza, who's in charge of the platform, who's in charge of the station, who's in charge of the Colossus, to try to make him realize that the pirate threat to the Colossus, because there's pirates that, you know, go to the Colossus and steal crap and battle people, but that the threat is getting out of control, and the First Order wants to give them safety in trading purposes for like their fleet to come by and things like that, right? Doza is ex-Imperial, so he wants nothing to do with them, but at the same time, like, he knows, like, yeah, the pirates are bad. While this is going on, there's racers. They're called the ace pilots of the Colossus, and the ace pilots, you know, fly their ships and do their races, and they all have a grand old time. The first like 5-6 episodes, I was so aggravated because I was like, this is so unnecessary plot points between episodes 7 to 9. Like, okay, great, there's a station platform on a water planet, and you got these racers going through the sky. It's not pod racing, it's just, you know, ship racing. So like, great. But like Poe Dameron and BB-8 come into the mix here and there, and they go on their little adventures with Kaz, and BB-8's got a girlfriend, CB-23, and then once BB-8 and CB-23 started to like do their thing, I was like, okay. And then Kaz and Poe were doing something, and Kaz did this thing called an Emmelman loop, and I only know what an Emmelman loop is because of roller coasters, but it was named after a World War I pilot, something Emmelman. He would go down. An Emmelman loop is half a loop, and then it's I don't know how to. Do I have a plane? We're gonna use Bumblebee. Okay, Transformer Bumblebee. So an Emmelman loop is when you go down, so it's a half loop, but then you twist at the top and then shoot out the side, right? So Kaz did that at one point, and I was like, oh, I know what that is. And then I got into the show because I understood. I was like, oh, they're using actual pilot maneuvers instead of just like, here, fly this ship in this way and curve left. No, they were doing actual like pilot things. So I really want to know, like, if there are pilots that have watched this show, have you noticed other little loops and spins and tricks and stuff that I don't know the names for? Because I know the Emmelman, but I don't know anything else. So at that point, whenever Kaz and Poe were doing their thing and he did the Emmelman loop, I was like, okay, all right, I see what this is. I see where we're going. And then it was cool because Kaz was getting information for the Resistance against the First Order, and then at the end of season 1, we have the Colossus. Turns out that it's a ship this entire time, and that the First Order is going to invade them after they kind of make friends with some pirates, and there's like a whole storyline of pirates going on. And I love me some Star Wars pirates. Those are my favorite genres of groups, if that makes sense. I don't like the Jedi. I've said this numerous times. They are warmongers. They're not peacekeepers. They're warmongers. I can't stand it. The Sith are the antithesis of Jedi. Great. But I like the Force concept. But the piratism and the scavenger, I really like a lot. And I like my Mandos. I like my Mandos. Don't get me wrong. All the different clans of Mandalorians are pretty neat. Because they're just warriors. So I like that. I like the fighting styles of certain Star Wars groups. But like, Ezra Bridger's my favorite character from Star Wars Rebels because he is everything combined. He's a pilot, he's a Jedi, he's a Sith, he's a pirate, he's a scavenger, he's a thief, he's a scoundrel, he's Aladdin in the Star Wars universe who learned how to use a blaster and a lightsaber. Great. Love it. And he's a fast talker. So, Kazuto Xiono being the main character of this is also a fast talker and kind of lies a lot, but like, necessarily moves the plot along. So BB-8 is lent to Kazuto for a long time, then goes back to Poe, and R1J5, aka Bucket, is another droid on the ship. Absolutely hysterical R unit, over 100 years old. Because this is a long time after the original R units. There's battle droids in this, rusted up beyond belief. Pretty entertaining. There's a character called Niku. He's like very, very logical in how he speaks, and like doesn't understand sarcasm. So like him being a genius when it comes to engineering and programming and stuff, like, it's pretty cool having him reprogram battle droids to work for the Colossus as they fight the First Order, as they travel through space to find a new home. Bucket is pretty fun too. But BB-8 and CB-23 I love. She's blue and red. She's pretty neat. I love me some droids. I do love me some droids. Let's be honest here. So let's go through some of my favorite. I love the battle droids. There you go. Roger. Just absolutely hysterical. Can be reprogrammed quite easily. C-3PO and R2-D2, obviously. They're the first characters we've ever seen in Star Wars New Hope, which we never talked about, but we should. You got KTSO, K2SO. Awesome, sarcastic, reprogrammed droid that he is. We saw him in Rogue One. You got... what's Chopper's numbers? Chop from Rebels. I forget Chop's numbers and letters, but Chopper from Rogue One is hysterical. Of course, BB-8, CB-23. Did we say K2SO? We did say K2SO. R1J5, we did talk about. Bucket. Then there's another one, K5, I think. K5? Is it K5? Bucket's partner in crime in Rebels. Another reprogrammed Imperial. Not Imperial. Yeah, Imperial droid, right? I'm trying to remember, who was it first? You had the Republic against who? Something. Who was Palpatine was on both sides of Separatist and Republics. Okay. Separatist and Republic. and then you had the rebellion against... No, it wasn't the Republic. Yes. Separatist versus Republic. Then you had Empire versus Rebellion. And then you had New Order / First Order. New Republic / First Order versus Resistance. Okay, there we go. We got it. All right. It's all coming back. There's too many decades worth of information. So, season 2 of this show, the Colossus is trying to find a home. They find a home. There's conflict. But in the process, there's this character called Tam who grew up in the Colossus, and then she defected to the First Order, and then she's realizing how terrible the First Order actually is after their initial brainwashing scam. Decided to go back to the Colossus, who is slowly becoming a resistance port. And then Kaz and Jaeger, his mentors, they're all trying to figure out how to get Tam out. And they get Tam out, and it's a whole happy ending of everybody fighting for the Colossus, and, they live happily ever after. That we assume, because we don't know what happens, obviously, post the Colossus and the Ace pilots destroying a Star Destroyer. That was a pretty cool... The last 2 episodes of season 2 were pretty neat. So this style of cartoon, we'll go into that, because there's really not much plot. It's on a spaceport, which is actually a station in an ocean, which then it flies, and it's just resistance pilots and ace pilots of the Colossus against TIE fighters and certain members of the First Order. It's really it. So the cartoon it's CGI, so it's like computer generated images. Obviously that's what CGI stands for, but it's also got some hand-drawn stuff to it. So it's kind of like 2018 Sony's Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, kind of, but like different. Like this has way more shading to it, where Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse was more like dotty. Does that make sense? I think that makes more sense. But overall, I did enjoy it. It took me a while to get into this show just because there was no plot to it. It's just, let me spy on the Resistance. Let me spy for the Resistance, for the First Order. It's just, it wasn't necessary. And Filoni has been interviewed saying he wanted to do this show kind of reminiscent of his grandfather's experience, flying a plane in World War II. This is great. And I got that. I totally saw the fighter pilot, racing and the mechanic, back and forth and who's betting who for what, and I got it. Completely unnecessary for the plot points of Star Wars, aside from introducing CB-23 as BB-8's girlfriend. That's my opinion. This is what I got from the show, but I did enjoy it. It was a good show. 2 seasons long, that's it, 30-something episodes. But it was a good show. It was a great show. I really liked it. I'll give it a solid 7. I'll give it a solid 7 out of 10. That's as far as I can go morally. That's as far as I can go. Rebels is a perfect 10. I will give Clone Wars a 9 just because certain episodes were completely unnecessary in Clone Wars. My brother and I talk about it all the time. What's the point of this 4-episode arc, aside from entertainment? What does it have to do with the plot of Star Wars? It doesn't. So, little things like that. So, Rebels, solid 10. Clone Wars, a good 9. A solid 9. Resistance, a solid 7. It wasn't garbage. It wasn't a hot dumpster fire of trash. I have nothing bad to say about it. It just wasn't needed. But it was good. It was really great for what we got. There's a lot of guh sounds. I think we're good. Another guh sound. Okay. Rambling. Mucho mahalo.